I haven't seen a copy of the minutes, so we'll,
We're postponing it.
yeah, postpone it till the next meeting. Informal. Is there a David McCarthy here?
It's not David, it's John, I think.
John, well, that-
Isn't it John? Didn't
I'm
you,
here. How are you all?
Great.
is it John or is it David?
It's John.
Thought so.
Okay, we can correct that. I could if my pen worked.
So I heard from Sally you were able to visit the property.
So I went out and found what I thought were the trees. Are they the the trees with the pink flags behind the brick mill?
Yes.
Okay. So I had a couple questions then.
What's the address on this?
The address is 2A Interlaken Cross?
That's correct. Yeah.
Anybody got an extra
It is
pen?
the old mill. It's not really a mill technically, but it looks like it.
Yeah. So it looked like, a couple things, it looked like they were right on the bank of that river.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons for removal. My neighbor's concerned about them, the stability of those trees. The bridge being out has forced a water, to circulate over on that bank, and it's eroded it quite considerably over the last 2 years. Obviously that's something with the town to take up, but that's the main reason for it. So yeah, it's those on the embankment, and there's a couple of other ash trees that need to be removed because they're basically dead.
Yeah. So they were fading. They weren't quite dead, but yeah, I didn't have a problem with them coming down, but they're right on the bank. So how do you plan to protect the bank? And what will you do to replace them?
So the trees currently, the current plan is to remove them all by crane. So John Fields is doing it. I think he's the only one in town that owns a crane that size that can reach them.
Okay.
So my understanding would be there would be no, footprint or anything on the bank. It would be accessing it from the road.
Great. Okay.
We'll be taking out the power lines to accommodate that. And there are currently no plans to replace them. Again, with that bank the way that it is, it makes sense to try to, mitigate any erosion with probably some other types of non-invasive plants. But there's plenty of forest in the backyard. So the goal was not to replace them with any new plantings of trees. If anything grows voluntarily, that's fine. There's quite a bit of other sort of, mid-sized trees that I'm sure will come in and take over. I'll miss the shade, that's for sure. But
So we do, especially because it's the bank, I would want to see some
Yeah.
replanting.
Maybe some
Right
shrubs.
now with the stumps and everything that are there, you won't have much erosion, but as the stumps deteriorate, unless something fills in, and if you just let it do its own thing, it's all gonna be invasives probably.
And you're going to have more erosion into the bank unless you put something there. Even if you put,
yeah, I haven't thought of it yet, but I'm certainly, that whole area is like a woodland garden. So I would love for it to be native, and there's some shrubs that are growing that area. I probably would just look to, mirror those as well. So that's a good idea. I think that's definitely something to plan for.
The smaller the better probably, that way you could easily space them out, and as they spread, the roots will tie the bank back in, and whatever greenery sprouts from them would be.
okay. So I was fine with them coming down. I would just say, do some planting with native wetland.
If you could drop us a note, if you can look and say, I'm gonna put a dozen plantings in, or 18 or whatever, space them out, make it looks like that they're gonna cover the stumps eventually. That's where I'm going. And just to lock the thing in.
Okay.
And we have no problems with trees that are gonna be dangerous building or.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Can you send me an email to that effect? Because John Fields wanted to have a record of that we're cool with taking those down. And I'll send you one to the effect of the plantings once they've been removed. We'll put those in.
Sally?
Yeah, we'll get that to you.
Okay, perfect.
Might be a couple days, but
Sally does that or you?
Yeah. Who's it gonna go to
I'll do
again?
that.
To
Okay.
John McCarthy. Yeah, you should have my email
I
address.
have his email. We're good.
Okay.
Thanks, Sally. Perfect.
Mike, you,
Anything else?
no, we're good with you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yep, thank you.
Right,
Mike, what do you got that's, informal?
Mike Parsons.
I think it's informal anyway. So,
And just state your name for the,
Mike Coolidge, Berkshire Engineering, on behalf of John Payron, property owner. So John's got a piece of property over on Larry Wog that the
the
commission.
one in behind the Phragmites?
Yes, yeah, between 183 and Bonus there.
So the commission approved a plan, this was way back, this started,
2005 or
this started in 2005, but you just granted an extension. So talking to John about making a modest relocation of the proposed house location. So this is what was approved for the house. This is what's proposed. It's just, it would get slid forward. The house is actually smaller than what was approved. Slid forward, smaller house, same distance from the resource area.
Can you back up?
Yep.
This was an NOI,
This was an NOI back in 2005, yeah.
and you want, if you want to change it, I would think we need a new NOI.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's refile again. We'll do a site visit and then move
Okay.
it along.
They,
Yeah.
Sally?
they've filed regularly for extensions. So
Oh,
they
have they?
have an extension on the current
Yeah,
plan.
so-
Yes.
There's a permit in place.
Okay.
We're asking for what we think could be considered by the commission an administrative modification or an amendment. I guess there's those two ways we typically handle it, either with an amendment or with a,
Is this site presently staked out?
It's staked out. I run about 700 feet of silt fence. The replication area is graded. It doesn't really, moving the house, the wetlands is down here, doesn't really affect, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but
you're speaking to you.
okay. To me, I mean, we're not impacting, in my opinion, anything else. It's just basically, making a smaller house, sliding it forward a little bit, because I want to do a drive under. We have permits for building up here. The way things are with costs and everything, I really don't want to spend $500,000 right now to put another building up here. So I'm doing this so the contours of the land allow me to do a drive under. I can put all my machines and tools and everything
The
under.
house is the same size or smaller?
The house is about 900 square feet smaller.
Smaller,
Yes,
which is the total square footage of,
about 2,500. I think we were in around 3,400. We say this was almost 20 years ago, so it's just my wife and I and our dogs. We don't need a big house anymore. Everything changes yearly, so.
I would want to see something in writing, an amendment.
Okay.
Brendan is fine, if Sally agrees,
I'd go for an amendment.
just so we can see
They
it.
do an amendment.
Okay.
all right.
Okay,
Can we get in there and take a look?
I think we want to,
Say it again?
do we want to do a site visit just to check it out?
Yes,
Because I think that Joe and I are the only people on the board, on the committee that actually saw the property originally in 2007.
I've seen you go in and out of there with a tractor. Where
Yep,
the big stumps go?
the big stumps are up on the property.
All right, Thursday works best for us usually, this Thursday? 3 o'clock,
I think that's
3:30?
3:30.
3:30 this Thursday,
And what's the address?
2A Interlaken,
One Larry Dog.
One Larry Walk, right on the corner.
We don't have time to advertise it for this Thursday.
We will not?
No, or to post it for this Thursday.
All right, we're gonna have to make it either next week sometime then, because we have to post these.
Next Thursday?
Okay,
All right.
what's the date on that?
18,
18th?
next Thursday.
Thursday, the 18th at 3:30.
Okay.
And what's the address, John, just so I have it here in the
It's
notes?
one Larry Walk?
87,
That's how you
1
spell it.
Larry Walk?
One Larry Walk.
Cooley.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now we go to public hearing. Bernard Hahn, no one. Wallenkamp, no one. Selkie, no one.
I
Valora?
got an email which I forwarded to you from Annie saying she wants to continue with the certificate of compliance, but I'm still a little vague since they combined the properties as to how that works. So I think that we need to hear something from Foresight, a plan as to how the trees have moved to the new location and how that works for a certificate of compliance. I think we need a little clarification on that.
I don't understand how the trees moved to the new location? What do you mean?
Well, when she originally applied for this, when she clear cut the hill,
Yep,
we issued an enforcement order. And it went with her current house.
right.
But now she's divided the property with the idea that she was going to build the new house. And the tree area went with the new house, which I understand is now going with what was the barn. What was the barn is going to become a residence. So it's going with that, but it's not in the original location. So I think we need some clarification from Foresight as to what we're certifying and how we write it.
Okay.
It's to me it's confusing.
Have they sent us a new map, drawing? Anything how the,
No, that's the thing. That's the thing, because remember Jeff Lynch had a plan for how that was going to work. And I think it was a decent plan. I mean, it was reasonable, certainly, but I think we need something that clarifies the boundaries of the new lots and how one fits with the other, because I'm not sure if Annie's going to keep the original house, then the certificate of compliance, I guess, is still going to go to her because she still owns the property, but eventually it's going to transfer to somebody, maybe her daughter, I'm not sure.
You'll get back to her, Sally?
I'm going to ask Foresight for some clarification.
anything else on that?
No.
White Engineering.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Brent White from White Engineering on behalf of Michael and Rebecca Valora. We have submitted to you electronically, and I'm giving to the chairman the hard copies of revised plans. You might recall we had a healthy discussion at the end of June with respect to this project and some of the zoning aspects associated with
Good
that.
word.
Thank you. Since that time, we've had the opportunity to revisit the house plans with the contractor and the owner. The plan is before you this evening allows us to just very briefly recap. I won't rehash the entire meeting. We were seeking throughout this process, we were ultimately hoping to seek a special permit to expand a pre-existing non-conforming structure, had greater than lot coverage. The zoning district calls for 10% lot coverage. The existing house has 11%, and we were asking for 13%. There is an avenue under the zoning review process that allows us to ask for that, but it became clear that the concern with respect to the amount of additional house structure within the buffer zone of both Stockbridge Bowl as well as the bordering vegetated wetland was not something that we were going to be able to overcome with respect to the buffer plantings that we had proposed. So we have revised our plan to match the 11% lot coverage that the existing contains. We've slightly repositioned it to account for that. All the buffer plantings have remained the same. We've also provided a written response. I believe we had discussed most of the comments during the last meeting, but we've given you a point-by-point response to the DEP comments.
I had questions on that.
Sure. Just to recap though, we had received, the Board of Health had approved all the variances that were required for this under Title V. In the middle of June, we received the approval from Natural Heritage identifying that this will not result in a prohibited take. We've identified on the plan that the floodplain is contained within the bank, but we did identify the 100-year floodplain. So again, no work is occurring in the floodplain associated with the house itself. And again, one of the other questions was just with respect to the bordering vegetated wetland, and it should be noted that that was actually, this wetland line was also approved by default by this commission when the project for 36 was reviewed. We did our field work at the same time that they were doing theirs. You may recall we ended up actually assisting on that project with some replanting here. So we were very confident in the actual wetland line, and I would suggest as a non-wetland scientist, but frankly, this was a conservative wetland delineation. So we're very comfortable that with our maintaining of our setback to the lake here, the erosion and sedimentation controls put in place in the multiple innovative and alternative technologies that the health department approved for the septic system, that this really is the best way to redevelop the property, certainly enhance stormwater management, buffer plantings from what exists currently here. And we have filed for the Lake and Pond Overlay District special permit. But in this case here, the fact that we've essentially removed the zoning question and matched the pre-existing non-conforming lot coverage, we're hoping that an approval this evening would allow us to move forward, at least through our zoning review with an approval from the commission. I understand there may be some desire to hold off on physically signing the order of conditions till the selectman has voted on that. Procedurally, from our standpoint, it doesn't, we need the positive recommendation to move forward through the other reviews, and the fact that we're not asking something that goes beyond what is pre-existing non-conforming on the site. Our hope would be that we'd be able to close the hearing with a positive vote tonight, and we'd certainly keep in touch with the chair and Sally with respect to when we appear before the select board. Just to ensure that when the order of conditions is issued, we really can't do anything on site until we have that special permit in place. So there's really, aside from any tree removal, there's really nothing that's going to happen on this property until we've gone through and completed our planning board and select board review.
All right, so the house been moved a little bit from the original location.
Just very, very slight rotation. You wouldn't even notice it, honestly, if you didn't split hairs like we had the last 6 weeks on it.
It doesn't affect any more tree removal?
No, it's the same tree removal that was requested before me. It's the same replanting. It's the same stone drip edge to manage the roof runoff in the entire scheme. It's the same plan, just smaller house.
So is there a new or a revised NOI? Because the NOI has all the other figures.
We've submitted an updated plan that has an updated zoning table. That was submitted electronically, and I
I saw the plan, I didn't see the actual NOI, I saw the plan.
Well, in this case, because it's an active application, we can submit revised plans that reflect changing conditions, so we don't have to refile.
Oh, the figures are going to be different?
The updated plan reflects, and the order conditions will reflect what the final plan shows.
Okay. And that just one other thing, the DEP comment about soils, why, and I know they asked why there wasn't soil testing.
In this case here, because of the very drastic change in topography along the wetland boundary as well as the vegetation, that's how we were able to justify where the wetland limits were.
Because the vegetation is not natural vegetation. People have been living there for a long time, so it's not, we don't know what it would look like if they weren't mowing and.
I think in this case here, the predominance of wetland features where we've identified the bordering vegetated wetland is what took precedent with that.
I don't know that it's not hydric soil in other places.
We did.
You did some soil?
We did do test pits, yes, but that was part of what justified where the actual wetland flags were placed.
So why did DEP ask for, they said, the DEP comment was that.
I know we did confirming test pits as a part of the flags.
Info. Army Corps wetlands data forms are missing soils info.
In this case here, based on the combination of the topography, the pits that were done, the observation of the vegetation, and frankly, the work between our, Shannon's been doing wetland delineations for close to 30 years here, and we have a high level of confidence. And I think the same conclusions were drawn by the analysts from SK Design Group who reviewed the same wetland network as a part of their product is what led us to the level of confidence that where we've shown the bordering vegetated wetland is indeed accurate.
Okay, I have other questions, but I'll,
Oh, sure. Well, actually, I just had a few kind of questions out of curiosity. So what did you have to sacrifice for the 2%?
We've had so many iterations. It was really just a consolidation of the overall footprint and understanding that through the construction documents that they were able to reconfigure the interior spaces to make that work. So that was really, and that's really the reason we're here before you now and not sooner, was that just took some time between, again, the applicant, their family, just thinking about their priorities, understanding that we've had to maintain that 11%.
Sure. And I just have a few questions about some abbreviations. This is for my own information.
Okay.
So on the plan, there's SD, FD, SSB, SSW, and I wasn't really sure what those.
Sure. So FD was for foundation drain.
Okay. All right. And SD is
SD, that was for the roof leaders.
for the what?
Roof leaders,
Oh, SD,
solid drain.
south train, okay. And what about SSB?
SSW, state straw wattle with silt fence.
Oh, staked straw wattle. I try to look all these up on Google, but they failed me.
now you know.
Well, I figure for future reference.
Yeah,
And FF and BF on the house
Finished floor.
finish floor. And what is the BF?
Basement floor,
Basement floor, okay.
which again is not a full basement. It's a rad slab just for mechanicals. It's not a full basement conditioned space. We wouldn't be able to meet our floor area ratio.
So, the measurements on both the plans had the same dimensions for the finished floor and the basement floor.
Correct. We did that, and that did not change.
Okay, so,
It was a covered porch you removed, right? Or am I mistaken?
We reduced the actual footprint of the house itself to get from the 13.2 back down to the 11%. So again, the general position of the house on the site, the general orientation has all remained the same. The elevations between the road, the septic and the driveway, that all stayed the same. We just consolidated the footprint to stay, to match the existing.
So you filed with LLP for the LLPD?
We did file that, yes.
You haven't heard back? Is that-
We just finished the plans at the end of last week here, pulled together the application, but in this case, the fact that we weren't,
You weren't going bigger?
correct, I think there was a concern that we're asking the commission to approve something that goes beyond zoning that would need the special permit, where in this case here, the fact that our coverages are the same, that we'd be able to move this off your agenda and.
now unless I'm mistaken, there's some soil testing that has to be done for the LPOD, right? Aren't there a series of soil tests?
We have identified our soil recharge as a part of the Lake Pond Overlay District, yes, so we submitted that
Is that the
information.
only soil test you have to do on that?
In this case here, we actually.
Last section there.
That is correct. We demonstrated that we're providing equivalent or greater peak groundwater recharge compared to what exists currently. So we've submitted those, again, to address what the LPOD calls for in section 6.5 of the bylaw. And the fact that we're keeping the roof the same makes it much easier. It's when you have a substantial increase in impervious area, that's where it becomes more sophisticated to demonstrate that we comply with those requirements.
Where do the footing drains daylight to?
So a little stone apron right into our planting area. It's stone apron above the floodplain level and it goes right to our buffer planting area. So
And did the driveway stay the same? Is there any change with the driveway?
driveway, I don't believe we made any changes.
Is that a yes? Or is that a no?
I don't think there's any change with the driveway.
And can you, because I don't think we got into it last time, can you, I know there's what, 17 trees coming down, 16 trees? Can you talk about what's being replanted and where?
Yes, we've got a series of different planting areas here and we've given the planting list.
It's on the plan.
Sorry for me to read upside down. So actually, I think there's 17 trees being planted, but there's only about 4 trees that are actually coming down. I think that,
Oh, okay.
yeah, we've got the 4 trees in the area where the shed was. Just immediately behind that, there was only a select
Those
tree.
are the dying hemlocks.
That is correct, yes. So those are the trees that are coming up, but we've got over the different planting areas, 17 trees plus shrubs between this planting area, this planting area, this planting area, this one, and this one.
And what's going along the bank?
We've got the planting list for each planting area specifically laid out here. So on the bank, planting area 2, we've got just 7 herbaceous plugs on the north side and on the south side of the dock. It's going to be a total of 40 plugs.
Of herbaceous?
Correct, in that area.
So I would like to see like shrubs or something a little
Yeah,
more
plugs are-
substantial than herbaceous on the bank. That's the main thing, resource area we're trying to protect,
Does it say what type of plug?
It does.
herbaceous.
Yeah, but that could be anything green.
It could be, but they're not woody.
Yeah.
It's like something woody, something that's really going to hold the bank.
Bless you.
Could I recommend then that as a suggested condition?
Yep.
So for reference, we're referring to this as planting area number 1, and this is planting area number 2. For planting area 1, if we were to include 3 woody shrubs to be planted in that area and 5 in planting area number 2?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wetland woody.
you can remove
Yep.
some stuff.
Sure.
Put that in.
And we're happy to incorporate that or document that as a part of our application for the LPD.
Okay. And can we condition that they don't trim them? I see a lot of shrubs that are kind of trimmed way down, just to let them grow.
I think there's even certain provisions in the LPOD and the town wetland bylaw that identify vista pruning as being allowed.
It is, it's one of the exempt activities they can prune. At least in the LPOD.
Shouldn't be. But
well,
okay,
there's a lot
but
of
let's plant them anyway. And then we'll-
Yeah, there's a lot of contradictions
Yeah.
between the two laws, but
I mean,
that is
some
in
people
there.
prune like way down to the ground. So
Oh,
they're
yeah.
there, but they're not.
Sure, and they allow them to take down dead trees and stuff
Yeah.
without, you know.
Okay, but if you can at least
Review.
plant them.
All right,
That's noted.
make a motion to close the hearing.
Did Sally have any comments?
Sally, you got anything?
Wait, before you do that, David and Mark are on Zoom. Do we want to see if they have any comments?
Can they identify? Do you have their names, Sally?
Yes. I do.
It's Fleetwood. It's David Cameron and Mark Stinson.
Oh, great.
Any comments from the gallery?
Hi, Ron, and hi, Brent. Nice to see you. I'm not sure that Mark and I reviewed the most recent set of plans. The commission provided us with an NOI and associated files, I believe, on July 28th. So if the plans have changed since then, we've not seen or reviewed them.
Probably should get you a new set of plans, just,
Yeah. So, and, Mark did a cursory review of this. He did have some comments. We've not put those in writing. We wanted to make sure we were clear on the extent of what the commission wanted us to do, how far they wanted us to take the scope, whether or not they wanted us to actually go to the site and take a look at the site. There's a difference between a desktop review and a thorough review that involves going to a site. So we've not been to the site. It's up to the commission in terms of how thorough of a review they'd like us to do.
Yeah, just throw something out there. I wasn't aware that you were reviewing the product, but happy to hear that you guys have put your eyes on that. This is actually a site, I think we've had 3 site visits with the commission as a part of this, before we filed the application as well as during our review. So I think to advocate for my client would respectfully suggest that we've looked at the site pretty extensively here and done a great deal of work to address the concerns that have been raised during the public hearing that we had back in the end of June.
I am okay with you reviewing the documentation and not going out there. I don't know how other people.
All right, well, I think that would speed things along.
Yeah, but I would appreciate you
What's their
looking at-
timetable here?
I mean, we are hoping to, we were hoping to close the hearing and have a vote this evening, so when we can appear before the planning board, that we would have a recommendation from the Conservation Commission and.
I'd like input from.
Yeah, I think this is enough. Not so much as a change, but the location of the whole site type thing that warrants a thorough review.
Yeah.
So I would like to see David at least get the newest version. And if you send it to us electronic.
Correct.
So we can send it right off.
We've actually sent it to you twice, so.
Right.
Can I make a suggestion? Should we include David and David and Mark on all mailings in the future so that there aren't delays like this?
Yes.
You know,
This
just
is-
add them
this- yeah.
to, they always get whatever we get.
We're
when
working
we
on
get
this
it.
whole system here.
Okay, so,
Just to make it clear, I wasn't aware that anyone else was reviewing the product or no one had asked us, which is fine. That's your prerogative to seek.
I guess just said it, this is
New process.
evolving.
Yeah, Brent, this is we've just recently negotiated this contract with the town of Stockbridge. So this is actually the very first case we even marginally weighed in on. So lucky you. So just bear with us and bear with the town.
Benefits of that, yes.
Yeah, but what we're working on getting a streamlined system in place and we'll get there, but we're just kind of starting right now. So.
And also, Brent, it was under the Conservation Commission it's under their contract that it's not going to be at this point attached to your client.
Okay, well, that clarifies that. Just not having had that discussion beforehand here, and certainly welcome the new process and your input here. Just merely hoping to move this along here, and had I known they were reviewing this, we would have sent that to them so they could be in a position to discuss this evening. The only thing I would ask, again, I don't want to circumvent the review or stop any of the work that's already started here, but I think we've done everything that was asked of us, honestly.
I think you have, but I would like them to have the opportunity to review it.
We'll make the
I would like to know
determination.
what they think what are your concerns, David? From having seen the earlier plans, what do you think that you might see that the commission here has missed?
Mark put together a list of comments. Some of them were related to buffer zone issues that he thought might require some changes, but we're not prepared to. I'm not prepared to say anything until I see the most recent set of plans. And ideally, the way this process should work is we should be relaying all those comments to everybody in writing. That way, everybody can see everything transparently at the same time. So I'm just not comfortable relaying those comments right now.
Sure.
Because some of them may be irrelevant at this point.
Right.
All right,
Yeah.
we're going to continue this till the next meeting. David will weigh in or Mark. And then we will make a determination. We will vote at the next meeting.
Can I just collectively ask here, certainly the information's ready to be forwarded to you. I guess I would just like the opportunity to hear whatever response they have for the commission. So if there's, we've already committed to
They'll send us something in writing and you'll get a copy of it.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
We'll have this.
And thank you for going through all the work of making it just to go to the 11%. That's really makes me feel much better.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
No, and the reason I wanted to be here this evening was really to, if there were any last outstanding questions, I'll be able to on I forget, it's the 23rd or whatever
I did have one final question. It's on the plan, it said the proposed system, the septic system, is less than 50 feet from the resource area. But it doesn't say how much less than 50 feet. I don't think it says on there. Maybe I didn't look at the fine print.
as John Hart pointed out, we have a number of local upgrade approvals under Title V that we've identified here. So we are 8 feet from a wetland. with the actual septic tank. Yeah, 8 feet. 8 feet is the setback.
Okay.
And it should also be noted, that was part of the written response, was that as a part of under Title V, the state sanitary code that governs septic systems, because this is an upgrade, because we are matching or the number of bedrooms here, we have the opportunity to seek that reduction through what's known as maximum feasible compliance, which the health department agreed that our use of the pretreatment tank and the drip dispersal system, we met that requirement.
Okay, thank you,
All right,
So we'll see you all collectively on the 23rd.
okay,
thank you.
thank you.
All righty, have a good evening.
Good night now.
Continue this.
Yeah. Oh, right, 30 feet from
Kernan, 21 Interlaken Road, anyone? You here? You are, sir.
My name is John Dupress. I'm with Trinity Engineering.
Okay,
Laying out on the table for you guys. So our, Betsy McKiernan, a longtime resident of Stockbridge. She owns a home at 21 Interlaken Cross Road, and she has a failing septic system. We are originally got brought in on the project last fall. The client had a delineation done on the site by Gail Ceresia, and then she had some test pits done there. She brought us on afterwards to do a map of the site. And when we did that, we found there's really not enough space for a septic system at the site. So, yeah, we could try to move wetlands and things like that, but that would be exceptional, and it's not allowed under Title V. So there's a Title V setback issue there too. So in looking at her options, we looked at, lots across the street where we could put a Title V system. They're wet, they're ledgy. We need 48 inches of soil above the ledge. It wasn't really going to work. There's sewer down at Interlaken Road that's about 1,400 feet down where we could connect municipal sewer. And there's municipal sewer at the Beechwood Drive intersection of Mackinac Road, about 1,800 feet away. Even though this one is closer, there's a road cut in that area, which is probably going to put us into ledge if we were going to try. And there's wells zigzagging across the street, as well as power lines, wetlands on both sides. If we were to put a force main up there, we need to be 50 feet from a well. So and then with all the telephone poles, it would have been a nightmare on the ledge. So even though this is, 400 feet longer, it was essentially more of a straight shot. So what we've done is, prior to May, we got on the town warrant and got approval from the town to, as you probably all know as citizens, to get approval to install the force main.
Can I ask what a force main is?
Oh, sorry.
I don't really know.
Sorry. Sewer force mains are simply where we pump the sewage to a place. It doesn't flow by gravity. We're forcing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's a smaller line typically, and we push it with pumps.
Huh.
Right, sorry about that. So,
No, it's all right. Did you know that?
I happen to know, yeah.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
fortunately, the McKiernans do now as well, but, so this wasn't in their plan, but yeah, so we worked with the Sewer and Water Commission to get approval from them generally, and then we put together a detailed design, have technical review from Tony Campetti, and that's approved. So now onto wetlands. We are needing to connect this sewer line from the rear of her house at 21 Interlaken to this intersection. So what we need to do is cross this BVW, bordering vegetated wetland, and then have a series of manholes about every 400 feet down the road, and then connect into this sewer manhole that's existing down here, where it will then flow gravity down Beechwood Drive and ultimately to the treatment works. So
are those manholes in the road or off the road?
they're gonna be off the side of the road, in the right of way. And because we're going up this road, it's obviously, you're right, you can look and see the BVW all along the road. So we talked to the Leviches and got permission to flag the wetlands on their property so that we could make the 100-foot offset and see where the wetlands are. That's why when you look at the documents we submitted to you, you'll have two reports. You'll have one from Gail for the BVW on the site. And then we use Ward Smith to do the wetlands along the Lovich's property.
And I noticed they both supply documentation of their work too.
Yeah, we always put the field data sheets in there just so you have it. And that'll have the soil borings and the veg plots and things like that that are in there. So basically I can talk, let me talk, what I'd like to do quick, and just I'll do this quickly, is I'll go through what we found for resources on the site. There are banks. There's Duck Pond Brook, which is perennial. It obviously has banks. That little stream flows through their yard through a pond. There are several intermittent streams that cross and swales that cross through culverts. So there are banks along those streams. We're not disturbing any banks. We're going under them, under the culverts. We're on this side. We're on the east side of Duck Pond Brook. There are BVWs, as we just described, on the yard, property of 21 Interlaken, and then along the Lovich property. We're not disturbing, well, we have a temporary disturbance of the BVW where we need to get into the backyard. There's just not enough width between the house and that area. And that was, we'll talk about later, one of the comments from DEP. So we're going to lay down some matting and go over that and then just pull that up when we come out. So the only temporary disturbance is just gaining access. There's no land subject to flooding. There's no floodplain, no flood comp. There is riverfront area along Duck Pond Brook. And there's obviously land under water bodies where we have streams. The Title V code requires you to tie into sewer where it's possible. I think this would be a stretch in terms of forcing someone under Title V to connect. We're doing it because it's the only option, but that option is in there. And so this is technically exempt from riverfront, I would argue. And that's what we put in the NOI, which went to the DEP, and they also agreed with that. In as much as there were no comments to the contrary. So DEP had 3 comments. They asked us to quantify the temporary impacts to BVW resulting from the work and the access. So we responded in an email to that. It's about 80 square feet of impact to BVW to get in temporary, and then maybe 2,000 in the backyard to gotta remove the old septic tank, put the new pump chamber in, and then put the directional drilling machine back there and push the force main through. And I'll
Single pumps it all the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty simple. There's not a lot of elevation change. It's just a long distance in pipe. And then they asked for permission for authorization to work in the right of way. So what I was able to provide was the email from Mike Canales showing we got approval at town warrant. And then the methodology for installation, directional drilling, and dewatering. The dewatering comment came up to my mind last night, and I said, I don't think I ever addressed that. I addressed everything else. So I have an updated plan dated today, which shows our typical dewatering detail. And I think the place where we would encounter dewatering would be in the backyard of the McKiernan's house when we have to get that pump chamber underground. We might have to pump some groundwater. We're close to the wetlands, so we would put a ring of hay bales, pump into there, let it silt settle out, and let it just sheet flow across the grass into the wetland. A very temporary, short duration event.
You mentioned in your write-up receiver pits.
Yeah.
What exactly are those?
So here's how this would work. Directional, and forgive me if you guys have heard this before, but so directional drilling, we have a picture of one of the machines that I thought that would be good to put in the email that I sent to DEP. So there's these machines with the steel rods, they're sort of sitting there on an angle, and they're literally pushed a rod about 400 feet. And, they go out 20 feet, and then they connect a new rod, and they push another one, they connect another rod, and they push that. And on the front, there's a duck-billed thing that they can rotate. So if they just let it go, it would go in a big circle. But if they rotate that rod, it can spiral and go in a straight line. There's a receiver on the tip of that rod that they put another man out in front, and he can locate the depth and location of the rod. So he knows the line and the depth of where the rod is. Now, the further you push, the more horsepower it takes, the bigger the machine you need. So a reasonable push is about 400 feet. And that just happens to work really well with what Stockbridge Water and Sewer wants, because they want flushing manholes every 400 feet. So what we'll do is we'll dig a pit. They'll launch from a receiver pit, which is just a hole in the ground. They'll push into that bank and then they'll pop up in the other receiver pit. And then when that steel is up there, they'll take off the duckbill, they'll put a reamer on there, just screw that off and put another one on, and then attach a roll of pipe and pull that back through the hole. Now you've got a pipe 400 feet from A to B. And then what you do is in that receiver pit that you went into, you'll put a manhole in that hole.
And then you start over again
Yeah, you
from,
go up to that next receiver pit and you just keep doing that. And when you get to the last one, it's also possible to actually drill into the manhole. So what we're hoping to do there, the plan, and it's reasonable, is to drill into that manhole. And then we may do a receiver pit there and maybe saw cut the hole to just push the rod through. That's also possible. But what we're trying to do is avoid disturbing the road and disturbing traffic. Again, this project it's a residential project. This is one homeowner paying for this. It's really unexpected expense for her to deal with this. So
someone said like $80,000 and that.
probably going to be 80 to 120, depending on materials are all over the place. Diesel fuels, pipes have gone up. But, you know, we had to do a property line survey along that whole road, just to make sure we needed to know where the right of way was. So there's been a lot of, two delineations. They've had me on board for a while. So what we're trying to do is do the right thing. There's just no place for a septic system in that backyard.
No, we saw it. Sally and I saw it.
Right.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it floats.
You walk around and it's squishy.
Yeah. it floats.
And then there's the well and, there was some crazy things we could do, move the well maybe, but we're just, this is just not gonna work. So, and then what'll happen too, just so you know, is along the way, Stockbridge water and sewer requires us to put a connection point for everybody who's not connected. Some of these homes down here are already connected, but there's quite a few properties that are not, like the Loviches at number 1 and some of the folks across here. So they'll, in the future, if their system fails and they need to connect,
That's good.
it's an opportunity to keep more of the nutrients going into,
And each new connection needs a new pump.
Yeah, exactly. And so they'll push on their own independently through that line. Yeah, it's called an E1 system. They're pretty common. Pumps are really robust and can push a long way. Yeah.
Is there going to be like a T along the way for each one of these?
Yeah, there'll be sort of like, there's a 2-inch force main and an 1.25-inch line where the house will connect. And we're going to leave we're going to put a T in and we're going to have a valve there. So they can come up to that valve, make their connection, open it up, and we don't need to shut the main down. There's no risk of a sewage leak while they're connecting and things like that. They're already going to have a connection port.
Clever.
Yeah, it's impressive.
That's why it's expensive.
Yeah. But the directional drilling saves so much, and it saves so much in terms of, there's 4 stream crossings. We don't have to do all that. We don't have to risk destroying the culverts. We don't have to risk.
What do you think the depth of this?
We can put it at 4.5 to 5 feet. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. And it may be a little deeper up here where the road crests. Because there's one point at which we need to have an air release valve at the height of the line. You want to make sure that if there's air in there, you let the air out. So there's an air release valve, and that's inside of a manhole. It's a common thing on a force main.
John, I have a couple questions. One, are you doing any work on somebody else's property other than the town?
No, just Sally's and the town.
Okay. And my other question is, I know Joe DeGeorgis is not here tonight, but I think I can guess what he would say, which is, are you double sleeving when you go under the waterways?
No, it wouldn't be. We weren't planning on it.
Do we have any concerns, particularly about Duck Pond Brook, which is a perennial stream, of any possible leakage from this? And I know we've asked for double sleeves in previous applications.
Right. We're not crossing Duck Pond Brook, which is the first thing.
Okay.
That's what goes around the other side of the house.
Right, we're on the east side of Duck Pond Brook, and we are only crossing the intermittent streams. And I didn't really go to see if they're jurisdictional now. I'm just treating them as streams because they're flowing through a culvert. I think one of them looks like it's just a swale that flows periodically. The one down by Beechwood Drive's a little more, that's more of a substantial flow. But, so no, Sally, we didn't click on that. But what I can offer you for assurance is we do have one continuous length of pipe with no joints. That's a huge thing. And then we pressure test that pipe.
The material this pipe is made of?
HDPE, black plastic. It's going to look like the water. It's the same. It's going to look like the water line material you use. It's a thicker wall though, much thicker. And what's interesting about that pipe is it's almost bulletproof from water hammer. Turning it on and off if someone shuts a valve. It's really flexible. It can freeze and not burst. If you thaw it out, then it'll operate again. It doesn't crack like copper. It's a really forgiving material. And there's no joints other than inside the manhole, and they're going to get fused welded together. You heat up both ends of the pipe and stick them together, and then it just melts. It's just rubber that melts together, polyethylene actually that melts together.
It's been educational.
Yep.
Any other comments?
You learn something every day.
No.
So I make a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These are the revised plans. I'll leave those with you. This is today's date. The only detail that's added is this dewatering plan. So I'm going to leave you 2 copies of this.
Okay.
Just wanted you to have those because it addresses more fully the DEP comments.
All right. Okay.
So, okay.
So we need to vote on whether we approve it, right?
I think we did.
You did.
Close the hearing.
Yes.
It's not a separate vote to approve?
No.
I got it, Lisa.
Okay.
For a copy.
Do we, with that vote was only to close the
Yeah,
hearing?
that vote was to
Then we
close it.
should vote it, I think.
Okay.
What do you think?
We assume that it's when we close a hearing that we have approved plans as submitted.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's how it's reflected in the minutes.
Okay. You got that.
Yeah, I got it.
Good. All right. So that's been approved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Schubert, Deep Meadow Road. Oh, swimming pool. Boy, I bet you they wish they had that in now.
Yeah, today.
Amen.
Maybe they did.
I don't think so.
They wish they did. You guys all know where, have you guys been, anybody been here? Has anybody been to the site
I've been
yet?
down that road a lot of times, but I'm not.
I got a couple of these, want to borrow one down there?
I haven't been here.
So, yeah, so a lot. That towards the end of Meadow. If anybody's interested, I've got one kind of copy of an aerial that gets you a little better feel for kind of how things are on the ground. So just for reference, the pool on here kind of ends up off of that corner of the house.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, you've seen this before?
Yeah, I was looking at this
Okay,
afternoon.
yeah, so there's a,
Online.
The resource area is
there's a wetland out, so into the, I keep going back to this plan just because it's a little easier for me to work from. So there's a wetland out, there are a few wetlands, but the one that's within sort of shouting distance of the proposed work is this area out.
How big a shout is that?
Out in the
how far?
So this is a 100-foot shout here. That's the 100-foot buffer. This is the 50-foot buffer. So the pool is about 80 feet from the wetland at closest point. There's grading that kind of comes to within about 70 feet. this, and the area that we're in is, we're kind of right on the edge. This green line is the existing tree line. So that's the current tree line. There's this little wedge of, I think it's more pruning than cutting. We located all the large trees in the area, so no need to remove any large trees. It's really mostly in lawn area.
Can the pool move this way?
So the architect kind of came up with a view shed they were trying to avoid impacting, but of course it could move that way.
So, you know,
It certainly could, yeah.
I did find something in the, on the section of request for,
Termination.
I'm sorry,
Termination?
determination of applicability, and under one of the things that lets us allow it, says, even if it's in the buffer zone, it says that conversion of lawn to uses accessory to residential structures such as decks, sheds, patios, pools, replacement of a basement bulkhead, et cetera, including material staging and stockpiling, is located more than 50 feet from the mean annual high water line of a riverfront area or from the bank or from a bordering vegetated wetland. It says, so basically they allow that as long as you're 50 feet, more than 50 feet away from the bordering vegetative wetland. And it's, a pool or a deck, or which is what you're trying to build. So they explicitly say that it is allowed as far as I can see.
I agree. I mean, I think you can allow it. It just, we
Right.
want to get your take on it and make sure you feel the same.
I'd like to see it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should do a site
Just to
visit.
see what the pruning is and
Yep.
see if it can move a
Yeah, we can
little
stake
bit.
out the pool and we can get it on
And
the
is
ground
this
out there.
hot tub already there?
No,
Okay.
no, that's no.
That's outside the,
I know, just can't.
Yeah, so all this kind of patio and pool and,
No additions to the building?
so there's additions, there are additions. So these areas, if you can see them, the hatched in, all of hatched in areas are additions to the garage is an additional structure.
but it's all outside the buffer.
But they're all.
Yeah, they're all.
They're
all outside the
Pressing up
buffer.
against 200 feet to,
Are they proposing any improvement for the loss of that buffer? That always makes us happy.
it does, and I understand that, and
Improvement.
if, I guess if we do a site visit and we can identify an area that might benefit from some particular,
Yep.
if there's a particular area that we should consider, something might pop out and say, hey,
Sure.
why don't you do something here, we're happy to,
Okay.
Okay, we're already going out on the 18th.
it's a propane tank.
How big is the site, Mike?
The property's 10 acres.
So there is room for it to go, get out of the buffer.
It's just,
Good smudge over. Shout.
Shout.
7.5.
18th at 3 o'clock?
Okay, the other one's 3:30.
Yep.
So what is this, 8 Meadow?
8 Meadow, yeah, kind of down on the right,
Okay.
just before the cul-de-sac on the right.
What time?
3 o'clock, Ally. That's
Thank
okay.
you.
Okay?
Yep.
Couple shouts and we're in and out.
Don't get picky now. You can have these if you want them.
You already sent it.
I did, I sent it in, but I can leave whatever it is, yeah, we don't want it. All right, second to last.
RDA, 17 input.
Back to town sewer. Alan?
They were, whoops, yeah, they were at the last meeting about And they sent me the information to advertise, but I didn't get anything else after that. So they were advertised, but they're not here. So I don't know.
They're
actually in person.
in person.
Oh, they are here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't see you.
No worries, no worries.
Come forward.
Yeah, we originally said we were doing this via Zoom, so. Hi, Katie.
So got the pleasure of sitting through this. Bring a chair up.
Well, I need copies of your official paperwork.
Okay, I mailed 2 last week. You didn't receive them?
No.
Good boy, hopefully I mailed them to the right address. I think I did.
And
You could,
PO Box
Yeah, PO Box, yeah, I was,
417.
yeah, so that was last Thursday. Should
Yeah, you
definitely have,
should.
well, I guess Tuesday, I don't know.
we'll check the mail. There's a couple.
I haven't seen it yet, but it was appropriately advertised, so you're legal. It's good.
And can you just say your name, please?
Sure, my name's Steve Allen.
And I'm Olga.
Thank you.
Victoria Allen.
Great, thanks.
So you have your plans?
Yeah, well, we're kind of
Okay.
novices to this, so we don't have much,
We don't
but,
have
so,
fancy
yes. But basically what we're doing is connecting our home to, hopefully, the Stockbridge town sewer system. I'm glad that gentleman spoke before us because what we're doing is similar to what he's doing, the directional drilling,
Smaller scale.
much smaller.
smaller.
Thank God.
They're just as
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah, so it's amazing technology that I had never even heard of until
Get them finished.
So we
Come over
put
to your
this-
place, maybe.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So actually, Tony Campetti was gracious enough to do a site visit with us, along with Joe Wilkinson. I'm sure you probably,
Yep.
I know he's done a ton of work around here, and he came highly recommended to us. So we did a site visit, and basically the plan is just to put an E1 pump in right where the existing septic tank is in the front yard. And then they would direct drill from there to down our driveway to a manhole, which luckily, again, fortunate for us, is right at the end of our driveway. And so that would basically be it. It would just be one straight shot from the septic to the manhole, and it goes right down our driveway.
Wilkinson is going to do this, or is he going to do the excavation?
Yeah, it's part of the reason I came up today. I signed my contract with him. I don't know if you want to see that, but I gave him a deposit. But yes, and he's done several of these. So,
In the neighborhood.
Are there wetlands?
there are along the driveway, and I have a little map here. And
On the side, it's off to the side.
so this is where our house is. That's where the house is. The septic tank is right here in the front yard, and this is our driveway. And that line right there would be the line that goes right to the manhole on Beechwood.
Yeah, and where are the wetlands?
Well, according to this map, they're a little bit here on the right-hand side. And so we're going to go center left just to make sure we avoid that. But again, it'll be going right down our driveway.
How long a distance did you say?
About 355 feet.
Oh, that's,
Tony measured it, when he came out, and that's what he got. And then Tony obviously said you prefer that we do this instead of trying to,
Excavation.
also, putting in a new septic tank. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, right. So,
let's do it right once.
right, exactly.
Got to do this expense.
Exactly. And so, yeah, we had 2 options, whether we could do excavating or the direct drilling. The direct drilling, is more, but, it creates a lot less, creates a lot less damage, obviously. And so we prefer to do it that way.
Did you guys want to do a site visit here? Just check out the distance of the driveways or?
I can't imagine what we would find different.
Is there provision for how they're gonna, I know it's underground, but do they need to be at all sure about impact on the wetland? Like, do we need silt fence or anything?
Probably, Sally, I would think that the pit where they removed the old tank and replaced it with a new, depending on what your closest wetland area is, and if it's, 50 feet or less, you might want to put some silt fence or straw wattles.
Hay bales, yeah.
Until it's backfilled and seeded over, and then.
Right, Jeff said he would do that. He said it would only take a few days. He thought, 2, 3 days,
An
and
excavator in that's gonna go pop and then plop, you're all set.
right.
Yeah.
And I guess because the water table's so high there, they don't even have to go too deep. It would only be like 3.5 feet to 4 feet, he thought, deep. And it's
does need
1.25 inch
to
pipe.
follow.
Hmm.
Steve,
Straw-
it does need to be
Okay,
followed.
yeah.
Not hay,
Not hay straw, is that, okay, sorry.
just for the seeds they carry.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Invasive seeds. Does anyone want to see this?
Well, I don't know that I want to see it, but you mailed the paperwork? This is it?
Yeah,
You
so,
have copies.
I have a copy here of what we mailed.
Let me go check the mailbox.
Okay.
He wasn't there this evening.
All right, never mind then.
It can take a while.
I guess.
Used to go direct within the post office here, but now they send it to Hartford and send
Do
it
you want me to make it?
Oh, really? Wow.
Are
you making that up?
Put it in the mail.
Or Springfield. I thought it was Springfield, but.
Sometimes hard for them.
Pretty sure it's Hartford now.
So I guess.
You don't want to track your stuff that goes to the
I used to mail my
US.
o'clock in the morning and everyone would have them by noon, and now it's like 3 or 4 days.
Oh, okay, I don't see anything extraordinary.
It's called efficiency.
So they can scan it, so that you can see it in your email. I'm sure that's why they do it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's why they call it snail mail now, I guess.
I did read that every piece of mail you receive, or it's,
Okay,
I got an email. Yeah, yeah.
any other questions?
I got an email.
Any other questions? Sally, you got anything for him?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. We just have to have the paperwork for the file.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yes,
I second the motion.
we'll have the paperwork in a minute. We're gonna make copies of all that.
Go make.
Yep, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Then,
The other one, the one that I mailed to you are much neater than that, but.
No copies.
the chance of us touching it again is pretty slim, but you never know. So, you're hoping for this season?
Yeah, we're gonna do it in the fall, obviously after, most people are done, spending time down there on the beach and summering out here, so.
Is that your daughter?
Yeah.
That's our youngest, yeah.
What's her name?
Well behaved right now.
What's your name?
This is public record.
Neve.
Speak up. It's official.
Her name's Neve.
I'm sorry?
Neve.
Neve.
Neve Allen. Neave. Yep.
Yeah, it's a Gaelic, Old English
I
name.
got it.
Nice, nice.
And she's far more patient than I would.
I'm really
She's been
impressed right now.
She's been promised ice cream if she's.
Oh,
Good deal.
Thank you.
we're good. Let's make a motion.
We did.
All right,
Ready?
Yep.
For the vote?
yep. We approve.
Aye.
Aye.
Yay. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You can now use your bathroom. What's important?
Yeah.
I never liked
Thanks,
it.
Sally.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, we have some RDA's signed notice of intent, another RDA. This is for general discussion. Sally, have you heard about the Josh Billings runaground fiasco?
No.
Seems
I'm
they don't,
surprised because my husband's on the board.
they don't have a finish line anymore.
Tanglewood?
Yep.
Yeah, no, they've been working on that
That's not,
all summer long.
now,
That much I know.
now they're looking for a alternate site. I've been approached for a small portion of Gould Meadows for parking. Not committed one way or the other. Where do you sign on this stinky thing?
I'm
But,
not sure how beneficial that would be for them. I mean, there's not very much parking.
Yeah, they need to bus people.
This isn't one of the
this is,
one,
what is
it's
this?
not one of the ones to sign.
It's funny, I haven't heard anything about that, and I usually know what's going on with it, Josh.
No, that's 21 Interlaken. You're looking for one Dugway, the 37 Mackinac.
There's a green one of the green folders, by the way, are RDAs.
All right, hang
Red
on.
folders are NOIs.
I got a green folder.
Yellow folders are certificates of compliance. Just so you know.
Take that folder along with it.
Just pull it out of the folder. I just wanted to make sure that you had the 3 that you needed in one spot. So the Josh wants to use Gould Meadows.
Well, no, they're still scratching their head looking for places.
Okay, I'll find out the inside scoop on that.
But since we oversee it,
Yeah. I just don't see how that's gonna work. I mean, how many cars could we fit in Gould Meadows?
well, it would only be the field right by the parking area.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't know that quick. They would have to have parking attendants. There'd have to be some work done so they can get in and out of there.
I think it's, you know, as much as I love the Josh, and I was the director of the Josh for 4 years, I think it's a bad idea.
What part, Sally?
Keep it with that.
What part?
Yeah, what part's a bad
I'm
idea?
just trying to figure
Oh, I
out.
just think,
I
yeah, I just, you know, if it's raining,
Yeah.
and I remember, Josh, when it was raining hard and it was miserable, if it's raining and really wet, which it can be cold. I can remember one, Josh, where I got more hypothermic than I ever remember getting in my life. It would ruin it if they're parking on the field.
I thought we should ask the DeSisto School, however it's pronounced.
That's how you pronounce it, but I don't,
They'll
Oh,
finish.
yeah.
They got, right? They have all kinds of room up there.
they haven't been that cozy with the
Oh,
town.
here's a chance for them to snuggle up.
Yeah.
Help out.
They would jump all over that, I bet you. If they were smart.
So this is an order
Have you
of
ever met Patrick
conditions.
No.
That's not listed here. I don't know if I'm signing that.
Run.
Nope,
We're
sorry.
signing 2 pieces for Sarah Manukin on 1 Dugway Road. One is an RDA for Mike
Right.
Parsons. The other is the notice of intent, which is going to Sarah. And
So
we're
there's-
signing the messenger.
Right, but there's an order of conditions here too for
Right, for
40
Sarah.
43 Crown Shield Road. We're signing that?
Yes, that's Sarah.
Their address.
That's her address.
Okay, for 1 Dugway.
It's Rad House LLC is Sarah.
Got it. Thank you.
What about BCD or Crocallan? They have lots of parking.
I think it makes more sense.
Or Morris, like the elementary school.
I mean, you figure that there are 400 cars at least.
Rapallo has that top parking lot too.
They do up behind there, yeah.
And then the
A lot of
lower-
parking.
Right, so just, here's my thought too, but this is not all original on my part. But if you allow this once, you set a precedent. So now somebody else wants to have a circus on the grounds or, whatever. Do we let them have parking there for a circus? Race cars or
Oh, I see what you mean.
or whatever.
Tom, you got.
That said,
Which one?
So maybe suggest they look elsewhere.
yeah. They also they also have party tents.
On that one.
I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that given all the difficulties that they're having, if they don't have Tanglewood, they don't have the Bash. So it's only the competitors that would be parking there or parking wherever for as long as the race runs. That I'm pretty sure about from listening in on conversations and having conversations with my husband. But I will talk to him and see if there's some new info. I think Patty's just trying to make it happen and she's grasping at straws, and I can understand why. Because the whole thing with Tanglewood has been up in the air for quite a while.
So this is just a heads up, so everybody's got a little thought of, well, the system or whatever. But the general premise is it's gotta be close to the area that it's been in, just so it works. You could go to,
Otherwise, they change the distance,
yeah,
which is okay. They had it 2 years ago in Richmond. So it was an entirely different route. And when it first started, it started in Lanesboro and came down through all of Berkshire County. But logistically, it was a nightmare because you had to have the police and the planning board and everybody in the world in all the different towns. Even now you still have Stockbridge, Great Barrington, Alford, West Stockbridge, Lenox, and then you have to have the sheriff's department there. And it's an enormous undertaking to change the route.
well, the question was raised, might portions of Gould Meadow be available? And I'm not committed to anything. It probably would have to go through the select board anyways.
I think if we could guarantee the weather was going to be sunny and bright and the field dry, it would be one thing, but we can't.
Yeah. Then there was the question of what if it does turn bad weather and it gets all torn up and rutted and who fixes it? And
They
how do
can't
we-
afford it. They can't afford to fix it if it goes bad.
So.
And we can't afford to let it go back.
Tom has done some work on the LPOD. Does everyone have a copy of this?
I saw it.
I sent it to everyone.
Yeah, I saw it.
Sally, did you get a copy of what he worked
Yes.
up?
Yeah, and I sent it to Donna,
Okay.
so she's reviewing it.
All right, well, let's continue this till we hear back from her. But I'm starting to get less enthused about doing it.
Okay.
Wasn't greatly enthused, but I thought it was possible, but I'm not anymore.
The thing that concerns me about it, I don't necessarily want more paperwork. Teresa was saying tonight, do you know how much paperwork that's going to involve? And I'm like, no. But the thing that I think we need to do if we don't do that is we really need to sit down and figure out what the conflicts are, like Tom mentioned tonight. The conflict of the planning board just saying, yeah, you can take down a dead tree, and we don't. They have a different view of removing invasive species than we do. We would like them to remove invasive species, but the planning board says, no, you can't mess with anything on the bank. So I think we need to work on having some consistency in our bylaws and our
I agree.
site. Because right
Yeah, I-
now, you know,
I
you go
think
to
the law
one and
needs
you
to
get
be-
one answer, you go to another, you get another answer.
I think they should, the whole thing needs to be revised, really. If it were fixed, I don't think the planning board would have a problem with it. And most of the wetland stuff we already cover.
Right.
I mean, we have we have 200-foot buffer with the lake, whereas in the LPOD, they have 150. You know, there's conflicting things like that all through it. So I think the law itself needs to be fixed rather than just kind of shifted to someone else.
I agree.
So,
Maybe it's possible to divest some of it.
I think so.
From zoning that they don't need to deal with.
I think that'd be good.
I'm not sure how that would work, but that, I mean, like, when they're talking about driveways and things like that, we don't necessarily want to deal with driveways in that regard. But when it comes to plant removal and things like that, I'm not sure that that's a really sensible place to have zoning. I don't know.
Hello.
All right, we'll wait to hear back from Donna on that. Performance standards.
I'm still waiting, Tom, for your table of contents. And then I'll put it together.
Oh, I did send that to you.
You did?
Yep.
I missed it. I've been away, so I don't get town stuff when I'm in the Adirondacks where I've been.
Yeah, I sent you.
Been frankly too sick to care, but.
Sure, that's fine. But I sent you two attachments. One was the simplified table of contents.
Oh,
And
all
one
right,
is the
well, I'll go
detail.
back and look for it then. Sorry.
Sure.
So then is that the last thing? Once we have that, it's complete?
I think so. And then do we send it to, do we have to send it to Donna again?
I think we just did formatting
Okay,
and send it to her, but we didn't change any substance. We just reformatted and added a table of content, so.
Oh, crap.
So it should be,
I think we changed a few things to make them clearer.
did we? Oh, we
Yeah.
might have had minor edits. We might have had minor edits. Okay, so,
We kind of
Got those
so you'll get that to her, Sally?
The
yeah,
Oxford.
I'll find, I'm away again tomorrow. So it'll be next week before I can get to it.
Okay, so we have site visits on the 18th
Yeah.
at 3 o'clock on 8 Meadow Road. And 18th at 3:30 at
One Larry Wog.
one, wait a minute. I got two in there.
Right at 183.
One Larry Wog. It's
Yeah,
John Perron.
Yep.
it's just up the road from 183, like,
Yeah.
not even a driveway, it's a cut behind the Phragmites.
Across from Jay Bukowski.
He's been in and out of there a lot, so I'm interested to see what actually went on.
So Sally, do you want me to send you what I wrote, or did you get everything?
I think I'm good, thank you.
Okay, great.
I think I got everything. Connection is surprisingly good.
Okay, great.
Any other business?
I don't think so.
Someone make a motion?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Oh, wait, we do have something. I lied. I was asked and have not yet been confirmed, so I'm the new representative to the Stockbridge Bowl committee
Stewardship.
thing. And I attended my first meeting last week via Zoom.
And
And Sally did a good job.
I wasn't totally obnoxious or anything.
She was very good.
Any insights that you've gleaned from that
I
meeting?
thought about being totally obnoxious, but I wasn't. I think, I mean, they're coming up with a lake management plan, which seems to be progressing. There's a little friction at the top, which tends to make things less smooth running than it might be. But I think they're working hard to try and get it together and make sure that, I mean, the dredging is the top of the list of what they're looking at. And
Oh, that's what I was gonna get.
that's going to be, that's going to be a big hairy deal. I guess they've gotten some feedback from Heritage on that, because boy, when they were talking about it before, they were talking about dewatering and all kinds of stuff. So
On the agenda for
it's
like,
going to be, I think it's going to be an incredibly complicated process. And it absolutely is going to, I think, require the use of our Fleetwood guys.
Okay.
Um,
It would be good to have their input, definitely.
I think it would be invaluable to have their input.
Yeah.
I got the survey from Otter Environmental, which
Yeah.
is,
Tom?
yes?
not you, Tom.
Oh, different time.
You've seen it. Has anyone else seen this?
Yep.
Everyone seen it?
I don't think I saw it.
I think it got sent to you, Sally, but I'll make sure that it does again.
Yeah, because I'm,
There's a lot of milfoil.
This would have been there a year, but they decided not to treat the lake. Pass it down. If
Yep.
anybody wants a copy, we can make a copy.
Is there a,
Yeah, I've got
Sally,
a
is
copy
there
at home,
a
but.
timeframe
And you
for
have a copy
dredging?
of it. Do you have a copy yet? No.
I don't know, the folks down in the outlet are anxious to get it going, and the town is supportive, so.
So we would need to get information to Fleet, what are they called?
Fleetwood,
To Fleetwood soon,
just
Right.
keep in mind Fleetwood Mac.
okay, but Fleetwood Mac, so we would need to get that information to Fleetwood Mac soon, right?
Well, they don't have a filing or anything yet, so there's nothing official. It's just in the planning stages.
Okay. Well, I hope they realize,
They're gonna have to file a notice of intent, for sure.
yeah.
They don't even have the money for it.
Is this the herbicide you're talking about?
No, this is.
Oh, dredging
dredging
stuff,
into
okay.
the outlet. Which is gonna be, I don't know what it's gonna cost. It's gonna be a lot.
I find that the monies that the SBA has raised towards this, a large, large portion of these monies is not from donors, it's from the town.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
From community preservation funds.
Yep.
They had to give back Community Preservation Fund money. Because they
They
used
have?
something other than what they were supposed to.
That's interesting.
Sally, you got a guess on how much they've gotten from that fund so far?
I think it's somewhere about $265,000, and that was for dredging. It was not for herbicide.
Over the 20 years, it's been over 800,000. I made a list from the ledger entries. It was like $845,000 they received from the town.
So they still have that ready to dredge?
Oh, no, some of it's been spent.
So I did it.
That goes back to 2003.
I'm sure that they've had a lot of expense regarding planning for it and engineering costs and stuff. Because originally, they were going to suck up the silt and just send it up. They were going to have vacuum cleaner that went all the way across the lake, which in the middle of summer, which was going to be really, a popular thing with everybody. And that didn't go anywhere. And then for some reason, the original engineering firm did not figure out that there was ledge down below. And so that changed the whole aspect of how they were going to have to go about it.
But what do you mean ledge? If they're sucking out silt, they shouldn't be
There's
sucking out any ledge.
there's ledge underneath.
Okay,
It can only go so deep.
right.
Yeah, so there was a question as to how they were gonna do the whole process and where they were gonna do it and how they were gonna, they're still figuring out how they're gonna truck all this stuff out of there. It's 16 or 20 feet deep silt. I forget how many truckloads they thought it was gonna be in order to remove this stuff.
I think it was huge. It wasn't like 3,000 or something crazy, and that's why they decided to use the multiple pumps.
So in any case, they've got to have a landing spot for the stuff to get put in the trucks to get taken away. And
Don't they have to de-water it too? Don't they have to-
Yeah, I thought that was up in the
They're
woods.
gonna do it in Bullard Wood.
Right.
Bullard Woods.
This is not gonna smell good either.
SBA is going to do that.
Oh,
This
that's,
is gonna smell like a
Disgusting.
5-gallon pail of dead plants and water.
I've been on a lake that's been dredged. I've seen it in action when I was a kid. I get it.
I mean, there's nothing smooth or
We lived in
clean
Illinois. I don't
about
think
this
that was
whole project.
I've seen it all in action.
it's just such a daunting project that, it's frightening a little bit, I think. And then, there's somebody who's going to say, so how many fish and snails and stuff are you going to suck up in the process?
Did you see all the fish that were killed yesterday in upstate New York? There's some stream or something that there was some chemicals got into it, wiped out everything. It was on the news yesterday, yeah.
Usually does when something like that happens.
It was pro-septic.
Everything downstream. Okay, a motion has been made.
Celicor.
Did we vote? All in
We
favor?
did, we voted a while ago.
Yeah.
All right,
Adjourn for-
good evening.
Good evening.